Hello and welcome to episode 195 of the Rollo and Slappy Show. Today is April 20th, 2020. I am Rollo McFlugel, and with me, as always, is Slappy Jones 2. Show notes page for this episode will be mcflugel.com/195, or you will be able to find our sponsor, LibertyMugs.com. We're still chugging away, making mugs. So if you want a mug, great Bitcoin and libertarian stuff over there. So go do that, and also to check out our guest. Who Slappy is our guest with us, or is he making tacos?
Well, we'll find out shortly, because our guest is well known in academic circles for his development and proof of the line Earth theory.
Yeah.
But today we will be talking about hodling and what society might look like with a sound currency. So our guest is Mr. Campit, Mr. CarCampIt. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks a bunch for having me on, guys, and thank you for your recognition of my multidisciplinary efforts. I can't take all the credit for line Earth theory, but I can take a lot of it, and I will. And I love to talk about hodling as well. So thank you both.
Yeah, we'll bring it back on another time.
You've also written an academic paper recently on honoring your commitments and not bailing at the last second. Because you forgot about it?
Yes, that was it was peer reviewed and shot down actually pretty immediately for those not in the know.
So yeah, it's kind of funny. We're going to do this episode a little while ago, which I'm sure if Slappy and I might have made some references in that episode about it, and but I think now's an even more prescient time to talk about this thing with everything that's going on. We're seeing oil contracts being negative today.
Yep.
They're going to be paying you to take gas?
Yeah.
I just saw, I was browsing around before we started recording, and I saw it was listed at, this was the funniest, just juxtaposition of information. It was listed at negative $6 a share. But up 84% on the day, or on the 6 hours, some time increment. It was so good.
Wow, it's really great.
It's like red and negative, but then also green in two areas.
Yeah, we are living in wild times, and thank goodness we have Bitcoin while all this is going on, because I don't know what I would be doing if we didn't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's certainly a great it's as bad as things can get. You're always just like, okay, well, we've still got like the the ace in the hole here, and hopefully it'll perform as we all hope it will, and it makes me a little bit more comfortable knowing that I have that safety blanket.
So how does that help you, Car? You spend, you have Bitcoin, so you want to spend it around a lot, right?
No, it's primarily a savings instrument for me at this time, and it will be a spending instrument down the road when it appreciates in value, when it monetizes. But right now, it's definitely where I stick my savings, and it's just nice to have a very secure place to do that is outside of state or bank control.
Yeah. So, when do you think that's going to be, or what? Not, 'cause, I mean, it's tough to monetization. We haven't seen a market asset monetize in 6,000 years. So,
oh yeah, I mean,
kind of virgin territory for everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm not I'm not interested in what exact time frame that would be, because it's it could be a couple of years, could be decades. I don't know. Decades is a lot of time. But what do you mean by it appreciates in value? What point?
Yeah, what's the point? Why are we buying Bitcoin and not doing anything with it, but holding it?
Yeah, I think that it needs to assume a role as money, and part of that is, it's a little bit of a fuzzy math game. I don't know that it's a yes or no answer. Is it has it monetized or has it not? But I guess I don't know if I have an exact benchmark for when that happens. But certainly, I mean, I would look to something like the Pareto principle. That's always my gut is some sort of 80-20 deal, where if it if it has consumed 80% of other monetary instruments as its own, that's probably a pretty decent indicator that you're more or less there. But that frankly is not a part of Bitcoin that I've done a whole lot of research on what I would consider a complete monetization, I guess, or what you could plant the flag on.
Yeah, no clue.
Yeah, I kind of take my approach, or the way I explain the monetization, is that we expect, Bitcoin's got a hard cap. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. And so, I think most people in our audience understand why gold was such a great money with its hardness. You couldn't just go out and easily create new gold. You had to go out and dig it up and mine it and get it. So that helped prevent a big influx of new money coming in and depreciating the money you have. So I think we expect over time to Bitcoin to appreciate in value, and I think more and more people are going to start demanding it in payment, because I think people are going to start to understand what's going on. They're going to see the dollar losing value, especially with how wild the Fed's been. I mean, in the last month or so, how much money has the Fed doled out?
Who knows?
Do you think this will prove the MMTers correct?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, that's the thing. They're actually...
That's what they're saying, right? They're trying it.
They're really, really good at doing this.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that it hasn't collapsed while they just, 2 days in a row, we're going to send in another $1 trillion each of these 2 or 3 days. They're really, really good at what they're doing, but you can't beat economic principles. So in the long run, I think they're going to lose out to the harder money. But as time goes on, I mean, this is going to it's them, printing money, going wild at the Fed. It's going to we're not going to see the effects of it right away, but over time, it's going to make the dollar. Well, it already has, but the dollar's is losing value, and it always has been. And it's going to push, and it's going to nudge people more into the direction of Bitcoin, because people want a way to maintain their wealth. And over time, as this gets worse and worse for the dollar and better for Bitcoin, people are going to start charging premiums to be paid in dollars.
Sure.
And I think that premium is going to keep getting more and more and more until it's basically infinity, meaning that no one's going to accept dollars. And at that point, we're going to have so many people demanding Bitcoin as payment and refusing dollars in payment that's when Bitcoin becomes money, because the only way you're going to be able to transact with anything is by using Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's going to be the thing that every single person wants, and also the thing that you want. So you don't have to worry that people say, oh, you're never going to, never going to spend your Bitcoin. Well, at that point, when I have to spend my Bitcoin, people are going to also have to pay me in Bitcoin.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So that's becomes it's the general medium of exchange. It becomes the unit of account. I think one thing I'd like to cover is what hodling isn't, because there's a lot of straw men out there. And so Slappy or Car, either one of you want to answer this. The idea that hodling means that you never actually intend on spending your Bitcoin, or even the idea that it's wrong to spend your Bitcoin right now. Either one of you want to talk about that a little bit? Is it do we find it morally wrong to spend your Bitcoin?
No. I think that it's hodling it's a little bit of a rally cry. It's a little bit of a meme, but it has a important underpinnings. So first and foremost, I mean, I think most libertarians listening to this understand the value of savings, and savings and investment are just savings and living below your means. And so, hodling for me is I live beneath my means, so I have money to invest at the end of every month or at the end of every paycheck. And so the thing that I find most powerful, both from a philosophical standpoint and from a potential return standpoint, is Bitcoin. And so I invest in that. And there's no reason for me I don't pull savings out, because unless there was a catastrophe, because I just live below my means. So just I just continued to add to that. It is for me my savings tool. Hodling has a few effects. Namely, it indirectly, through several processes, kind of raises the floor of the price of Bitcoin. That's a little bit of a sloppy. I'm kind of generalizing, but that also, has the effect, because of the game theory within Bitcoin, of increasing the security of Bitcoin. So by hodling, you are actually helping to indirectly increase the security of Bitcoin. And then, yes, as you said, like over time, I will continue for my goods and services that I desire. I'll continue to spend dollars as long as I have them, because I don't want dollars fundamentally. I want Bitcoin. I want the goods, the services, and the Bitcoin. You can keep the dollars. But yeah, as you said, is at some point, maybe I was interpreting more of a globally when you were talking about when it is monetized. But for me, when it is monetized is when I just simply don't have any dollars coming in anymore, and I have Bitcoin coming in and I have Bitcoin going out. Like that. That's just it.
Yeah, you have dollars and you have Bitcoin, and one is going to appreciate and one is going to lose value.
Simple
equation.
I
hang on? Yeah. Why would I even convert it and then spend it? Why not just get rid of the trash dollars and buy your Bitcoin with your excess dollars?
Yep.
There's your savings. Hold on to them. And as they appreciate, and it gets to that point that you were talking, kind of that 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle, and it starts taking over and people start demanding Bitcoin, then spend it. There's no reason for me to spend something that I think is going to increase significantly in value.
Yeah, if we're saying that Bitcoin's going to become global money, then like the price of it right now is just minuscule compared to what it would be if 21 million has to be distributed around the globe, basically.
Right.
And yeah, Slappy, and Car too, you just described Thier's law.
Yes.
Which is let me talk about Gresham's law first, which I think more people it's the more popular thing. Very, very similar, but kind of the opposite, but not really. So Gresham's law kind of sloppily says that bad money or good money drives out bad money. Or no, sorry, man, I'm confusing this. Bad money
drives out good money.
Yes, bad money drives out good money.
So it's like the silver quarters.
Yes, but that is under a legal tender system.
Yeah.
So when you have legal tender, being a quarter means 25 cents, and it doesn't if there's silver in those quarters,
which there used to be.
Right.
Yep.
And that silver appreciates in value, that it's worth more than 25 cents that quarter, then why would you spend that? You take that out of circulation, and so all of a sudden that money, because people are holding on to that, that money goes out of circulation, and so the bad money gets circulated around. So Thier's law is kind of the opposite of that. When the condition of legal tender laws do not apply, because it's difficult for governments to enforce the restriction of Bitcoin. It's a little bit different than putting silver or gold or whatever precious metal into the government's money.
Yeah.
So that Thier's law says good money drives out bad, and it's kind of what we were already saying, is that if you've got an appreciating asset, then you're not going to want to spend it. You're going to dump the fiat, dump the stuff that's losing value, and thus, putting a lot of sell pressure on it, which drives the value down, while appreciating the other value until people don't accept the depreciating one anymore.
Right. And I think that's that process can happen fairly quickly. And, I've kind of, when you were talking about time horizons earlier, I've always kind of thought that this was going to be in the 5 to 15 year range, but I mean, the last 2 to 3 months have really started to make me wonder. I think I was talking about this in the Raleigh Bitcoin. I was over there on the Raleigh Bitcoin podcast the other day, or probably 3 weeks ago. Like, as selfishly, I want Bitcoin to have another year without scrutiny to really solidify the second layer stuff.
Yep.
Like, but then I followed that up with, I'm a gigantic jerk for disregarding the treasure trove that we already have, like the solid Bitcoin core, everything, like, it sucks to complain about it, but in an ideal world, I would love to have that, because I feel like another year with Lightning, like, would just be a dream. Like, great user interfaces, just really tidying up that system. But I think at the same time, I think that, the exponential growth of more people coming into the space and the more hands and more brains that are going to be a part of development, it can accelerate time horizons, I guess, for development goalposts. So, I don't know, man. It just feels like the last 2 to 3 months have just gone real sideways. And I'm glad that Bitcoin is here, and I would be hesitant to, if anybody wanted to get really aggressive with Bitcoin's monetization time horizon, I'd be hesitant to chide them for it, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah, you look at other technologies and how quickly they become mass adopted, and I forget who coined it, but it's the gradually then suddenly.
Yeah, right.
Like, all of a sudden, it's just going to be like, we're going to look and be like, yeah, remember when we used to, like, not use Bitcoin? Wow, that was crazy. And it's like, you look at other technologies like smartphones. Like, when did smartphones, like, really become, like, when did they get introduced?
Yeah, like 2007. Well, I mean, the iPhone was 2007.
Yeah, iPhone was really like,
I remember in
BlackBerry
college,
was a little bit different.
Blackberries, yeah.
Yeah, but that was not quite.
It wasn't the smart. It's not like,
no.
It's nothing like an iPhone.
And then all of a sudden, like, everyone has smartphones, and we don't remember life without them.
Right.
Another flat screen, LED, LCD. They're not even LCD TVs anymore. They're LEDs, and they're not. Even, are they even LED TVs anymore? Or are they better?
Knows?
But, like, I remember we're all around the same age. We remember life with before.
I remember life when we used to go to restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That took me a second.
Yeah, I remember life before I started that. Before I was working from home.
Yeah.
But it's like we adapt so quickly, and I mean, I remember life having
Just
that
happens.
like little bubble TV, and it was tiny and small, and it was pretty round.
I mean,
and then all of a sudden they just
back
don't
in the
exist anymore.
In the 90s, like, there were black and white TVs hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like color TVs would be advertised as color TVs, and like you would go over to somebody's house and they might have a dial thing, black and white TV.
Oh, I
Does
remember
that motel on Route 1 still have that free HBO and color TV sign out front?
I think so, and I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But no, it's I mean, yeah, I remember growing up, we didn't have cable, and you had to go up and turn the dial on the TV.
And the
I'm not that old. I'm 31.
Yeah, I'm 31. It wasn't that long ago.
And then even more recently, like before high-speed internet and Wi-Fi, before Wikipedia, before all these things that just became like out of nowhere, boom, everyone took it. I'm not saying that that's going to happen with, well, I'm saying that it probably will happen with Bitcoin. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to position myself right now to be in a good spot for when it does happen, that I'm not kind of... Well, here's the other thing, too, is that people get worried sometimes, like if they don't have a lot of ability to, throw money into Bitcoin. Maybe they got debt or a lot of bills or living paycheck to paycheck or anything. And like, oh, man, it's going to suck for me. I'm missing out on Bitcoin right now. Do you have any thoughts on... if you're not able to buy and hold Bitcoin right now, is that like a bad thing for people?
No, I don't think so. And I think that, well, I mean, it's not ideal. But I was talking about this with American Hodl, who is just a wild man. And he's fun to talk to. We had him on our show, or I guess I did a solo with him probably a month ago.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
And thank you. And I was asking,
Sloppy seconds, by the way.
What's that?
Sloppy seconds, by the way.
Did you have him on? God damn. When did you have him on? Oh, wait, you texted me about that. When did you have him on?
Like a week or two before.
A week before. So I after I lost my mind on coronavirus, I cut all Liberty podcasts out, and I've just been listening to music because I've been literally losing my effing mind. I've been going back through the dead archives and stuff. So I apologize. I'm not even caught up in y'all. I haven't even listened to hours.
Well,
But
neither of Slappy and I.
well, yeah, and everybody else can agree to that. Yeah, so I was asking him, I was like, what is the spread? Like, if you were to go to Vegas, and Vegas is comprised of handicappers who are Bitcoiners, like true Bitcoiners, what is the spread on? I can't remember exactly how I phrased it. It's gonna be sloppy, but if you had one Bitcoin now and the knowledge of why you should never spend it, versus 100 Bitcoins now without that knowledge, or 80 Bitcoins or 50. What is that spread?
Right.
And I think I can't remember exactly what the number was we settled on, but I mean, who knows? It's all just like kind of guesswork. Like, there's no real, but I think that even, there's a lot of people that talk about getting a full Bitcoin or being a multi-coiner or whatever, like, and that's awesome. Like, I highly recommend getting, achieving those goals if you possibly can. But at the same time, it's gradually then suddenly, it's not going to be all that long that a tenth of a Bitcoin seems like a pretty lofty deal. And so if there is some way that you can start that savings now and living below your means, and just get your hooks in, I'd say that may not be the worst idea, especially if you don't have any dependents and you can just live like a dog for a little while. It's digitally scarce, man. There's only 21 million.
But even if you can't do that, I think if you're a productive person,
oh sure, yeah, you're
going to be fine, because now all of a sudden you've got a money that appreciates in value. It's going to bring the cost of living down, quality of life up. So
if you are
don't worry about not having
no.
Bitcoin.
In fact, your life is going to become a lot easier, because now 50% of your work is not going to be burned, just torched in front of you. If you are a productive person, you benefit just by the fact that we are moving to a sound money system, and you could probably live the life that you're living right now by working 3 months out of the year, or 4 months out of the year. I don't think that's a stretch.
No, I don't either. I think that, like, we're not excited about Bitcoin just because we think that, we each have a little bit. I have no idea how much each of you have, and it doesn't matter. We're not excited about it because, like, we think we're going to be rich. Regardless of where we think that, this is going to be just a massive boon for humanity that we have never seen before.
Yes.
Having a sound money where governments can't control it, governments can't inflate the supply, that you can actually save money. We can actually have an economy that's not totally based on debt. Mm-hmm. It can be based on savings. We can actually have prices mean something now, that only the best projects are going to be pursued. That we're
and supply chases demand, and you don't spin your wheels on stupid ass projects that don't make any sense. You don't burn $1.5 trillion in Iraq, like making human misery for other people. You don't burn God knows how much by the Federal Department of Education every year. You're not paying for all that drag. So yeah, I mean, this is actually a trap that I fall into, Rollo, a lot. Is I'm like, Bitcoiners, you never have enough Bitcoin. Like, it doesn't matter what goal you set and meet, you never have enough. And you try to remember that it's not like, it's not like we're going to achieve monetization and now it's time to spend. I'm going to go buy my mansion or whatever. I'm going to probably continue living in a lot the same way that I do now, and I'm going to continue to save. I'm going to continue to increase that number. It's not like now it's time to spend. It's like, no, I'm just probably going to continue to work in Bitcoin. My life's going to become a lot better because we're not paying for a bunch of drag, and I'm going to increase that stack. This is really just it's a head start. That's all it is. It's not a invest now, spend later. It's an invest now and get a lot of appreciating returns and then keep investing later. It's not like, so yeah, if you're a productive person, you're going to be able to effectively save and effectively improve your life by an order of magnitude, just because you're not paying for a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, no, I am right with you on that. I had another point that I completely forgot about, though, that I was going to make in there.
Probably sucked.
You talked too long. You rambled on.
But that's my thought. That's like that's the mental game that I or the mental trap that I fall into. I'm like okay, go ahead.
No, it's just that like this picture went around a little bit. Is it Jim Cramer is his name? Was it like Mad Money?
Yeah, from Mad Money.
Yeah, did you see that picture floating around where it had like in the back it said like stock market sees greatest gain, like 24-hour gain in so many years, and on the bottom it says like massive unemployment across the United States. It's like that means like something's not right.
Something's not right. Yeah,
something's really really wrong. And in a Bitcoin standard and a hard money standard, I don't think we see that kind of thing. Yeah, like contradiction where you're like, wait, these. Like it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's the other cool thing about Bitcoin is that you don't really have to worry about like this is an all or nothing mission, right? This is an Apollo mission to the moon or something like that. Like I'm not going to get rid of my Bitcoin ever, but that also that comes with a fair amount of risk, or decreasing every day, I would say, but a fair amount of risk.
Right.
But at the other hand, it removes a lot of burden of worry for me because I believe in it. It's also a do-it-all investment in that it is money and an investment, so that's great. And I don't have to sit there and worry about like is Boeing or Amazon going to perform this year or whatever. So, like, you just put it away and you don't think about it. And that removes a shitload of burden about like those kind of moments of watching Jim Cramer, talk, like Jim Cramer. There's a meme, a million memes of him during the '08 deal, doing all kinds of shit, and just not having to worry about that, knowing that you are investing in something that is completely, well, maybe nothing in this world is completely disconnected from anything else, but more or less insulated from that world of just. Of horse racing and fraud.
Yeah, and I think that to kind of tag along that point, like Bitcoin fulfills what money is supposed to be. It's supposed to just be the most liquid asset for dealing with uncertainty across time and space. So right now we have such a bad monetary system that it's losing value. So people are looking for other things. People are tying their wealth up in real estate and stocks and bonds and everything else, everything but money. But then you run into an issue with like liquidity. Like, you want the thing to deal with future uncertainty. You want the thing that is going to be accepted and demanded in payment by everyone. Not that real estate isn't a bad thing to have, but like if you're using that to store your value and then you need to liquidate it at some point, you've really shrunken down the available amount of demanders to your real estate than if you just had whatever the general medium exchange was, aka money is, and that's across a lot of stuff. So that's another thing too, is that, and I think we can kind of transition into what we already did about what we think a sound money system in Bitcoin would look like, is that we're not wasting time anymore looking at ways to maintain our wealth. It was a couple weeks ago, or a couple episodes we did. We talked about stocks and stuff, Slappy, and about how it's like a lot of dumb money in there. And we kind of came to the conclusion, it's like, well, it's like, I don't blame people for doing it. I mean, I have a 401k that's tied up in that kind of stuff, and yeah, it's dumb money, but what am I going to do other than buy Bitcoin, which I've done. But having a sound money system where you expect you to maintain value, that eliminates that problem. And now I don't have to sit there and think about being like, well, I gotta like, study up on these different funds and everything, and do I want to tie? I mean, it's that's time and resources and energy that I could be doing other things with.
Yeah,
or just all the other infrastructure that's built around the economy doing that. It's like, you're trying to say that you want, all these financial advisors to be out of work. Yeah, I want to be out of work in that sector because there's plenty of other more productive things they could be doing.
Yeah, exactly. Creative destruction. I mean, that's, and that's something that people grapple with, like in every great turning of whatever, like the Industrial Revolution and even just different decades within, oh, well, all these people are going to lose their jobs. Well, no, their jobs are just going to transform into something that's far more productive for everyone, including themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that just is what it is. Creative destruction is a big part of a market economy, and to not celebrate it is, asinine in my opinion. But it's turbulence for sure for everyone that's in it. I've changed jobs. It sucks sometimes. It is what it is.
Yeah, I've done that too, kind of recently. It's
yeah,
life goes on.
Yeah, and especially if you've got some money saved up and it's not tied up in stocks and bonds and shit like that. Like it makes it a lot easier. And just change jobs. Maybe I'll take a month off.
Well, yeah, I mean it's yeah, and it goes to show with that when times of uncertainty happens. You really want to liquidate into tractors, but if you don't have that opportunity, well, just look at what happened recently when the markets crashed and everything. You saw what people did. A lot of people left the stock market. A lot of people left Bitcoin and went to the dollar. Cash. Because it's the most liquid, it's
the most liquid asset.
Yeah. Right now, we could talk about Bitcoin monetizing and I absolutely think it will, but it's not money yet. And the US dollar is money. And so in times of uncertainty, when people don't know what the future is going to bring, and right now, man, we're in about as wild of a time that I think that anyone that is alive right now has ever seen.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
You want
including
to be
9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, orders of magnitude. 9/11 didn't shut down the economy for 2 months. I mean,
no.
It's crazy.
So it makes absolute perfect, and this actually makes Bitcoin a bullish case for Bitcoin, because people liquidating to cash, to USD, shows that people are economically rational.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that you're right. That's a good point. And all it takes to start a bit of a cascade, whether it's the ultimate cascade or not, it probably won't be, but just a little bit of banking uncertainty. And however that may be expressed, whether it's like, one bank failing to be able to, although now they've removed all reserve requirements, and they've I don't know that there's going to be a real banking run, because they're just going to, I don't even want to say print. They're just going to represent, whatever needs to be represented. But just
there's no restraint.
Yeah. There's no restrictions there, but a little bit of banking uncertainty could see, especially now with the effective on-ramps that we have into Bitcoin from fiat. Man, it could really rock the boat pretty quick.
I think there is some concern, because there actually is a limited supply of paper dollars out there. And I forget who it was, that woman came out and saying like, no, you don't need to go run out and get cash. Everything's okay. Don't go out and get cash. Like, it would be crazy, because there are a lot of paper bills floating around, but can you imagine what would happen if like people started going to the banks and then being like, we can't get, like,
dude,
like we've been telling people that, like, you don't actually own your money, because it's up to the whims of the bank. But people are so used to being like a transfer not going through, or something getting delayed and that kind of stuff, that they're used to it. But I think it will be a lot different when people being like, no, I want dollar bills I can hold in my hand, because that's what a lot of people do. Why they say like, well, I like gold, or I don't like Bitcoin because I can't like hold in my hands. Well, if you put that on them, that like they want their dollars and you can't hold, like, oh, we don't have enough dollars for you.
That's true.
Hold in your hand, like, oh.
And they did put restrictions on it. I remember I went to the bank and I tried to get, it was something relatively small. I think I was trying to get out like $400 or something like that, just to have some cash on hand for for a little while. And they wouldn't let me. I did 2 separate transactions of $200, and they did let me. So I don't really know why, but Yeah, I mean, it was only $400. I don't know what the limit was. Maybe it was 300. Maybe it was actually 400. Maybe it was 210. But that's a fairly low limit. I mean, to get cash out for anybody who's of, particularly if you have to, like, I don't even have dependents, but if you have dependents in a family, like $400 is kind of, it's not going to get you like very far potentially.
Even before this, a friend of mine made a large purchase with cash and had to go to the bank to get it and had to give them a 2-week notice.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have cash, and you can't just walk in and withdraw your money.
Yeah.
If you have a substantial amount of money in the bank, you can't go get it.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one cash thing that I did like probably 2 years ago that I had to go to 2 separate banks and I had to like sign some like form or something like that. And grand scheme, it wasn't that much. Like, I was pretty shocked by it. I don't remember what the limits were, but it was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is kind of ridiculous. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know.
I have to imagine people in the banking finance sector are just like sitting there just absolutely terrified right now.
Oh my God. I would have to imagine. I mean, I'm sure prior to this, there were some true believers, but the people who really have their heads screwed on straight, even if they don't believe what we believe, but they are able to consume information and learn from it. I gotta believe they're looking at this like a tsunami coming in, and they just don't know how to get out of the way. Like that, like I can't this whole thing. I've tried not to, with my whatever, like my close friends or my parents or whatever, like freak out too much, because I feel like there will be a time that it needs to get really serious, and I don't want to like kind of cry wolf or whatever. But I mean, this whole thing is so insane, and is going to put so much pressure on things that we don't even understand right now, that in 3 or 4 months, I don't know, the potential is there for things to go real wacky.
Well, what's really wild is that like 2 months ago, if you asked any libertarian or Bitcoiner to kind of write a script for like a crazy thing that happens, between the government shutting down the world economy and then them printing trillions of dollars and doing all the monkey business that they're doing, would have written it up, handed it out, and people have been like, yeah, this is pretty funny, but let's be real. There's no way.
Yeah.
Let's keep it within the
and the thing that they would have written wouldn't be half as crazy as what's going on.
I know.
It's truly, it's astounding. I mean, it's an unprecedented event. It's an unprecedented event for my generation, our generation, probably our parents' generation. I mean, World War II and World War I were I mean, there's no way I could compare this with World War I or World War II, but at the end of the day, those things happened offshore. They didn't happen here. It's just a really weird thing. And maybe it's just that it's unprecedented, not necessarily in magnitude like World War I or World War II is, but more unprecedented in methodology. In like, we've just never seen ever, to my knowledge, a sweeping shutdown of huge portions of the economy.
And plus, too, back with the World Wars, I'm pretty sure that, obviously I wasn't around back then, but I think generally the American people were pretty much on board with everything that was going on.
Yeah.
So when they did rationing, it's like, oh, you should have victory gardens because
right.
We're not really confident in our own food supply chains. The people were like, oh yeah, I'll get onto that. But now it's like, even I'm not even saying libertarians, just general people are getting wound up over stuff that's going on. Even I think today there was a protest in Harrisburg for Governor Wolf, who vetoed a bill to open up some businesses today. That was fantastic of him. But we've seen this in other states too. That like there's a lot of unrest over this kind of stuff. It's not like that. I mean, for the most part, people have just like grabbed their ankles and be like, yes, whatever you say.
Yeah.
But there's enough people that are rocking the boat that it's like I don't know, man.
every day is new. I just have no idea. I have no idea.
I still can't believe this is like the 5th week, I think, of me from working
dude,
from home. Maybe I thought it was gonna be 2 weeks, and now it's looked like we're probably halfway through it.
Yeah,
like what
maybe.
people are thinking. I mean, we started my company started furloughing people.
Yeah,
and we're still, fortunately, we're still in production with stuff. Not everything, but we're making money. But like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean,
it's insane that there has to be a bill to open up business.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like, so stupid.
Anyone from our parents, all the boomers, constitutionalist people, like they in a million years never could. Like, I'm cynical enough to be like, yeah, it's the government. Obviously, they shut everything down. But it's like devastating to some people.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, it's devastating to me. But
sure, I think more accurately said, it's devastating to some people now, and it's going to be devastating to most other people later.
Just give it time.
People don't realize what's right around the corner when you shut down the global economy like they have. Like if you thought the supply chains were weak already, now you've shut down production at a lot of places. All around the world, all around with all different sectors of the economy. I mean, it's man, it's going to be it's like throwing rebar into a transmission.
Yeah,
and being like, I can't believe this is what's happening. I mean, we're just seeing with the oil prices, with the contracts running out, and they're trying people. They have to pay people to take to take delivery of crude oil for them.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. It's just unprecedented times, and there's just no way. What I said it earlier, but future uncertainty. Like this is the prime example. This is one of the prime use cases. Is like I literally don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if our governor is going to come out and say, yeah, we can open up business. I don't know if he's going to come out and say, well, you got to close for 2 months. I have no idea, because none of it's been dictated by reason so far. So why would it be dictated by reason tomorrow? I just don't know. And in these sorts of times, it is great to have savings, and it's particularly great to have savings that are not connected to those same idiots that are shutting down the economy. And it's, Bitcoin isn't one unit. It's a heterogeneous amalgamation of autists and technology enthusiasts and so on and so forth. But we're being nudged onto the main stage here, and the spotlight hasn't swung around to us yet, but the stage is set, I think, to really showcase what the power of this technology can be.
So I got a question for both or either. What's going on in Bitcoin right now? Any new developments? I hear about things, but what's your take? What's going on? What's coming around the corner? Will it be improved? Is it being improved?
Rollo, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I think every day it's getting improved. I think, Car, you kind of touched on it earlier that every day that it's here gives you more confidence that it's going to be here again tomorrow. But on top of that, there's all sorts of stuff going on. They're working on, the Lightning Network is improving day in and day out. We've had, I think we talked about it a little bit before, but Jack Mallers came out with the Strike app, which allows you to pay Lightning invoices with fiat, and that's through him. He's providing a service there, but that's like a really crazy thing, and it really helps people demand payments in Bitcoin, and then also, but not requiring people to onboard to Bitcoin to buy something that they want. That's only being charged in Bitcoin. There's privacy's getting better every day. Coin joins are becoming more useful and are coming out there.
That was what I had in mind when I asked the question, was the coin joins, and I don't know what you know about it, kind of putting you on the spot. But if you do know, Car, do I have to hit
Yeah,
on coin joins?
Yeah, I think you've used it more than I have.
Yeah, I think to get into the excuse me, the technicals might be a little bit much, but basically what it's doing is just combining your transactions with a bunch of other people's transactions in order to obfuscate exactly who owns
where
what
it's
at the
going
end
to
of the
what.
transaction,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so this wallet called Wasabi Wallet has an integrated coin joining feature, so you can.
So if you download Wasabi Wallet, are like all your transactions like that?
Well, no,
No.
not necessarily. Not as a matter of fact by sending or receiving, but they do have a coin join thing, so that if you select all your UTXOs,
Mm-hmm.
you can just hit a button and they will coin join with as soon as the pool builds up to a big enough
Nice.
level for it to effectively obfuscate. So, yeah, and then there's a number of services that offer similar.
Yeah, like Samurai Wallet. I haven't used
Samurai.
That. I gotta try Samurai. I have Wasabi. I've used it. Man, I forgot what I was just about to say about something that's happening. If you've been listening to Tales from the Crypt, which if you don't, you should. It's an excellent Bitcoin podcast. But talking about the out in like the gas fields and the oil fields, with the flaring that's going on, they have to burn off like methane and natural gas. It's just like a waste product. It's not profitable enough to use it in any other economic way. So typically out in these oil fields, they just flare it off, which means just burning it. It's coming out of the ground and they just let it on fire. Makes it so it's a little bit, it's a lot better for the environment instead of just sending out this gas into the atmosphere. So what a couple companies did, Steve Barber is one of the big names out there. And then Marty Bent's actually working for a company. I think it's called Great American Mining, but they're basically building these like boxes that have a bunch of Bitcoin miners in them with engines in them that instead of just using that gas to flare, the gas powers these engines that run a generator that provide electricity for these miners. So they're basically using waste energy to secure the Bitcoin network. And I mean, there's all this. That's one of the really, really cool things about Bitcoin on the mining side of it is that it's incentivizing people to look for different energy sources, look for places that were kind of, I don't want to say wasting energy, but not really not taking energy and not using it as is for really productive purposes, and using it for something as productive and purposeful as Bitcoin. So really, I mean, if you look where a lot of the mining in Bitcoin happens, it's where there's a lot of cheap energy. There's some like power plants. I think like in upstate New York, there's like a power plant that kind of supports the grid every once in a while, but they don't always need to operate to support the grid. But there's costs involved with starting and shutting down and everything, so you tend to want to keep those plants operating. So instead of just running and not being, and just basically not using the energy for anything, they're actually able to use it for a productive purpose and have a new income stream by mining Bitcoin. So it's really, really interesting and exciting things on that end to go along with everything else. And the other thing too is to remember, even if the price, Bitcoin's very volatile at this point. I think anyone that's listening to this understands that the price can do wild swings up and down. But one thing to remember is that about every 10 minutes, a new block is created. And right now that block reward is 12.5 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. And so for the price to maintain its level that it is, there has to be new money coming into it. So even if the price looks like it's staying flat, more money's going into it in order to maintain that price level. Because otherwise that new supply would bring the price down. So just keep that in the back of your head too. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add with stuff going on. I mean, there's tons of, I mean,
no, there's always stuff going on, but I was just thinking of big things.
The big things that I'm looking for are more and easier on ramps into Bitcoin from fiat, and that doesn't mean just buying Bitcoin, but that's stuff like Fold and stuff like that. Like just really interesting ways to leverage the for lack of a better word, consumerism or whatever you want to say, low time preference. Or high time preference or whatever activities into Bitcoin savings, and then just user interface stuff. Because I think like the Bitcoin Core portion is solid. Lightning is getting to be solid, and then it's just making a decent user interface or a great user interface. I guess I should say. And once you have those, man, I mean, it becomes so powerful. So those are the things that I'm looking for, is just easy and creative on-ramps, and great user interfaces. And then just the LN, tightening up the, rounding out the harsh corners, I guess.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it. The hardest problem has been solved, which is creating visual scarcity. I mean, it's Satoshi Nakamoto didn't like wake up one morning and be like, oh, I should solve this problem. The guys that have been trying and failing at this for a very long time, and he was finally the one that was able to kind of piece all these things together and come up with the engineering solutions to solve these problems and really get to what we have today. So anything on top of this are just like small engines. Well, I don't want to downplay, because the guys that are creating all this stuff are doing absolutely amazing work, but compared to the problems that Satoshi and his predecessor solved, they're just engineering problems. Coming up with this, like the hard part was creating sound, digitally scarce, censorship resistant money, and second layers on top of that. There's money to be made, so the people will figure out a way.
For sure. Yep. Yeah. I think that's as good a place as any to
kick you off.
I was going to say, you're the host, so when you wrap it up whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Car, do you have a free market success story?
I
do. If you don't, don't worry about it.
Well, why don't you go, and I might add to it.
Okay. So in the midst of all this, quarantine, COVID stuff going on, I'm working from home, and I have, I don't want to say I have more time on my hands. I've been as busy as I've ever been with working out in the garden and doing other stuff. But
working out.
Yeah. Growing my beard. But it's last night for the first time I drove for DoorDash, and so create a little income stream on the side. It's amazing how much money, I was shocked how much money people are willing to pay you to drive junk food to their houses, even during times like this. And there's a stress for a lot of us with our jobs. There's no guarantees in this stuff. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but my company started furloughing some people. My job is currently safe, and I'm really don't want to give too much details about my employment situation or talk about that, or it's not something I'd like to, whatever. But it made me think, like, all right, I gotta, if I did lose my job, what am I gonna do? Especially in times like this. And if you look around, DoorDash is one, driving for Grubhub, driving for Uber are the obvious ones, but there's also, I know Amazon isn't maybe necessarily everyone's favorite company because of shady stuff they do, but I think it's called Flex, Amazon Flex, that you can drive for them in your own car and deliver packages and make some money. So because well, now that I'm working from home and I see people walking up to my door from where my office is at my house, I saw a car drive up my driveway, and a woman dropped off a package, and I was like, let me look this up, and I found it pretty easily. And yeah, if you can, it's just like Uber. except for
That's crazy.
delivering Amazon packages. So, if you're concerned about, your job or securing an income, there's still, despite the shutdowns they've done, despite all this nasty things that government has done, there still are opportunities to make decent money out there through all this. So keep your head up and life finds a way.
Life finds a way. All right. So my free markets, I've got to do a shout out. I've been hesitant about this, just because not that there's any conceivable way somebody could link, like just not enough people listen to my podcast and know my community, but my local watering hole, which is like a little bit of a rallying point for my neighborhood, it has basically opened up as a speakeasy, and so that's been just awesome. And so you just go there and you knock on the door, somebody will open it. You come in, lock the door behind you, blinds are down, and they're under operation, limited hours, limited people. But it's been really cool to see that the owner of that bar, who I can't imagine is any sort of principled libertarian or anything like that, just say like, look, we're going to bend the rules a little bit. And take a little bit of risk. We want to serve our community, and we want to keep making money. So I'd say that's my free market success story.
I like that one. It's you would have thought that you would only had to answer the question, "Are you a Fed?" in libertarian circles, but now it's
yeah.
Now it's in a few. I like that though. I like when the normies rat around government and fight them. Because they're trying to just make their own way.
Well, it's funny, man, because like you go in there and it's about like my local bar. There's a lot of barflies, and there's a lot of like old timey. There's a lot of old veterans, like retired military, not necessarily like the stereotype of military, but just like old people smoking and drinking around the bar, looking for some community. And awesome people, like really, really, the regulars there are amazing. But they're all at hazard for everything that COVID says it's bills itself as destroying, and they don't give a shit, and that's like really, really, awesome just to come into the bar and they're like reaching out to give you a handshake and not giving a shit about anything. And maybe you could say that's because they've made a lot of maybe possibly poor life decisions, and this is just another one in a long line. Or you could say that they're fucking Americans, and that's what I choose to believe. So, there that is.
I like it. All right. You want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah.
Speakeasy.
Yeah. Find me at the Speakeasy. Find out. You can come over to me and Birdo's podcast, Friends Against Government. I'm at CarCampIt on Twitter, and Bird is at BirdArchist on Twitter, and that's our show.
Nice. I will link to that in the show notes. McFlugel.com/195. Also, remember to check out LibertyMugs.com. And the best thing you can do to help us out is to leave us a review wherever you listen to us on your podcatcher, and share us out to friends, family, whoever.
And do it for yourself, too. You'll feel good.
Yeah, you will. And also check out our Telegram group. It's on the show notes page. We have a little bit of fun there. It's less talk about libertarianism and more talking about whatever we're eating and drinking at the time. But it's a decent amount of people in there, and we all have a good time. So, all right, thanks for listening, and we will catch you next week.
Peace.
Sweet.